We're now joined via Zoom by economist Yusuf Dodia. Yusuf, this sounds like a great development for Zambia.
Yes, we are in a situation now where the load shedding has been with us for a while, and we need to look at a situation where they can reduce it from 12 hours down to around 8 hours. 12-hour load shedding meant that we were having a half day of productive economy. And now the announcements that it's being reduced to 8 hours means that at least we only lose 1/3 of the day in terms of production, especially with industry and manufacturing.
Reducing it to 8 hours, I mean, we are struggling with that. Our economy is being shot to pieces. Can Zambia survive at 8 hours, which sounds like an improvement?
Yes, it's very, very difficult. I mean, you know, there are some businesses that depend on a 24-hour operation in order to benefit from the economies of scale. Bakeries, for example, and of course, most of the industry, the mining industry cannot stop. So mining industry is given a priority. But what remains quite clear is that the load shedding exercise is being carried out in a one stretch 12-hour outage, or now an one stretch 8-hour outage. And this means that your factory just comes to a standstill. And for industries that are dealing with food, you're looking at frozen products defrosting within an 8-hour period. And of course, that means a lot of wastage. So it is putting a lot of pressure on the economy. We hope that with the rains that have been falling in the last 2 weeks or so, the Zambezi River Authority, which is the regulator of the use of water on the Zambezi River between Zambia and Zimbabwe, they've been announcing that the water levels are going up, which is a very positive thing. But I do believe that we could split the load shedding into 4-hour packages. So an 8-hour load shedding could be done in 4-hour packages twice a day, and that would help trade, commerce, and industry to continue to ride the gaps, the 4-hour gaps when there's no power, and continue to run their businesses. But one stretch is pretty negatively impacting on industry, and clearly with other challenges that we have, for example, the high cost of fuel as a consequence of the Ukraine-Russia war, and our exchange rate deteriorating, the kwacha against the US dollar. This just adds to the difficulties of running businesses in Zambia at the moment.
How much do we know about this deal with the Saudi Arabians? Nothing comes for free. Are we selling half of Zambia in the process?
Well, of course, the details can only really be shared by the authorities. But from where I stand and most members of the private sector, we expect that the Arab deal, if you'd like to call it that, is an opportunity to get resources from the Middle East to build economic infrastructure. Now, this is what we hope is going to happen, that we're going to be looking at money coming in from the Arab states to refurbish, upgrade, and rehabilitate our railway system, because that would be the cheapest form of transport across the country if it were put into usable state and also spread across the whole country. So I hope that this is where we're going to be seeing this money going, and also maybe going into building more power stations. There are plans in Zambia, both independent power stations to be built by the Zambian government, and also power stations to be built jointly between Zambia and Zimbabwe, seeing that we share the Zambezi River for a very long distance, to build power stations. And Zambia could be producing as much as 8 or 10 gigawatts, which is 8 to 10,000 megawatts, with the right investment. And this would be positive economic investment that would lead to Zambia being self-sufficient, and more importantly, to reducing the cost of energy and the cost of power in Zambia, so that the economy can be competitive with other economies in the region. But the details of the Middle East, the Arab facility are yet to be released to the public for us to be able to understand exactly where this money is going. I think the yellow flags are there, the red flags are there, that one of the things as a nation we should not do is mortgage our country such that future generations will suffer the consequences of doing that. So I'm sure as a nation and as a government, we are all aware about the dangers of kind of mortgaging our country for the next 100 years or more.
Yeah, I think people have memories of the past administration and how overextended the country became when China stepped into the frame. Capital projects take time, so even if it's signed now and they start working on it, it will take time to see this energy coming online. What do you do in the interim?
In my opinion, I think that we're not a poor nation, we're a fairly prosperous nation. My own personal count is that we're exporting around $40 million worth of copper per day. That's $1.2 billion per month, and arguably about $15 billion per year. That changes the scenario compared to the official statistics that we see, which suggests that our exports are somewhere around $6 to $7 billion instead of $15 billion plus. So I believe that's the elephant in the room. I believe that is where Zambia has an opportunity to find the resources to grow the economy without the resources having to come from taxation. These are resources which can be harnessed by the domestic economy to build domestic companies, to build the capacity to pay taxes to government, to avoid having a situation where 1/3 of our national budget is funded by foreign financing and grants, and where we're able to actually fund our national budget annually by local tax revenues. Now, to me, that's the elephant in the room. That's what we ought to be focusing on going forwards while the infrastructure projects come on stream. And of course, with a very focused strategy to move away from fossil fuels and begin to concentrate much more on electricity in terms of our industry, I think that we'd be saving ourselves a lot of challenges in the future, because industries that will run on electricity will be at the mercy of our ability to be able to produce electricity in Zambia. And all indications show that we should be able to produce enough electricity to feed our industries at least for the next 20 to 30 years. So to me, I think that's the way forward, and that's what we should be thinking about.
All right, Yusuf, we've run out of time. So much to talk about. We didn't even get to the idea of this Southern African energy pool, where we should be working together to create a stable network for all of our countries together. But anyway, we'll talk about that in the next conversation. For tonight, though, thank you so much, as always. Zikomo Kwambiri.
Thank you very much, and we continue to pray for more rain, at least for the next month or two.
Wonderful.
Thank you again to you, Peter. You take care.
Thank you, my brother. All right, that's Yusuf Dodia, one of our regular contributors, talking about Zambia's energy plans. Signed a $2 billion deal with Saudi Arabia for solar energy.